You are watching AYV Television.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Mamdi's Lounge. Today, Mamdi's Lounge is coming to you from the Bintumani Hotel in Freetown. And today we are looking at the topic, paying the bride price. Does it add value to or does it devalue a woman? Now, before the arrival of the Europeans and their church, white wedding plus the registry of civil marriage, the bride price was predominantly the way to go to get married. This is a practice as old as the world. It is both a biblical, as in the Old Testament being still adhered to by the Jews, and an Islamic custom. But it is also as much an African tradition that dates back to prehistoric times. It is therefore widely practiced across Africa, Sierra Leone not exempted. Many people believe it plays a very important role in our traditions and cultures, especially in keeping society intact and in raising children. But nowadays, there are various arguments for and against paying the bride price. Some say it is good because it ensures commitment to the union, placing the married woman on a higher pedestal in the eyes of the public, and therefore must be continued. On the other hand, some advocates hold a totally contrary view, arguing that it presents a picture of women as commodities to be bought. In Uganda, human rights activists took the matter to court, calling for the total abandonment of the paying of the bride price. They did not succeed, but it shows how topical this issue has become. For supporters of the bride price, the act makes it difficult for divorce, so that women cannot just opt out of a marriage for whatever reasons. But at the same time, modernist campaigners state that the bride price can abuse the rights of women, as they would have to endure even abusive or less love marriages where they are merely used as sex tools or objects. So this is Mamdi's Lounge, is coming to you from the Bintumani Hotel. And like I mentioned earlier, we are discussing today the topic, paying the bride price, and we're asking, does this paying the bride price, does it value a woman or does it devalue a woman? Hello and welcome to Mamdi's Lounge.
We laugh. We cry. With the tastiest guests and the best banter. All signed up by Mamdi's Lounge.
Welcome back. This is Mamdi's Lounge. In case you're just joining us, you're most welcome to this edition. And today we are coming to you from the Bintumani Hotel in Freetown. Today, our topic up for discussion is paying the bride price. Does it add value to or does it devalue a woman? As always, I have my lounge members, but before I come to them, let me quickly introduce my guests. I have two guests. One is Donald Davis-Cole. Donald Davis-Cole is a banker and social commentator whom I believe has a very interesting perspective to the topic that we will be discussing here today. Welcome to Mamdi's Lounge, Donald.
Thank you very much.
Our other guest is Binta Akibobet. Binta, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Binta has worked both in the private and public sectors. She is an entrepreneur with businesses in real estate, logistics, and marketing. She is a wife and mother to two adorable kids. Binta's passions include mentorship, philanthropy, and also she is a social commentator. Binta, it's a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you.
All right, so these two guests are joining us today in the lounge, including my lounge members, Hannah Fuller, she's right here, Hannah, and Sadia Mara. Hello. All right. This is Mamdi's Lounge coming to you from the Bintu Mani Hotel, and I just introduced my guests to you. So before I proceed to ask a question to my guests and members of the lounge, let me quickly try to define the meaning of bride price. According to Wikipedia, the bride price, bride wealth, or bride token is money, property, or other form of wealth paid by a groom or his family to the family of the woman he would be married to or is just about to marry. A bride price in sociology is payment of money or goods made to a bride or her parents by the bridegroom or his family. So today we are talking about the bride price, paying the bride price. We're asking a question: does this add value to, or does it devalue a woman? So I'll start with my guests. Donald.
Yes.
First of all, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this particular topic, on this issue that we are discussing today.
Well, for me, it's straight up. If you call it a bride price, then it's value attributed to something you're buying. So, and both definitions you have given have just mentioned payment made. So, well, thankfully, I am in the midst of a lot of women. So, if I were going to marry any one of you and I pay for you, if it's payments, then it wouldn't add value. Because you have to keep in view the human tendency to want to value things differently. There are some people who value a million leons. There are some people who do not value 100 million leons. So paying the money does not necessarily put a value depending on the individual. I can have a Range Rover and give it to my driver to drive. Somebody might have it and worship it. So it's the same thing. It's the same cost of the Range Rover, but different owners and different uses. So for me, it wouldn't add value if we look at bride price in the exact definition as a payment. It would. However, if you add the cultural parts and the reasons for people giving these prices, and I would rather we say bride price with the Z, as in Prize, as in price, rather than bride price as in something you buy.
Okay.
So if we look at it from that angle, then we have a totally different meaning, and then most probably it will then add value.
All right. Thank you very much for your thoughts, Binta.
Piggybacking off of what Donald has said, I think that's where the problem lies. It's in the word itself, bride price. So maybe in local languages it's called something different. Because for me personally, or the culture I come from, Fula Madingo culture, the bride price is not looked at as placing a value on the woman. It's looked as a commitment from the groom and his family that he's committed to marrying this woman. And as Donald has said, it's our culture. Even when you go to a town or a village and you go to the chief and you're going to greet him, you would take something as a token of respect. And that's how I view the bride price. In fact, in the Fula and Madingo cultures, the bride price is actually given back to the newlyweds to start their life. The groom would give it to the bride's family, and then when the family is taking their daughter to his house or his family's house, they would even add on to that bride price and give it back to them. But for our culture, it's more of a respect thing. And we're Africans. Everything for us is about respect. So maybe it's the word itself. I liked, there was one definition, you were saying something about token. Maybe it can be changed to token, or as Donald has said, price. Because you cannot place a value on any human being. But definitely we can see how it can be skewed to say, well, I bought this woman. But for me personally, it's just out of respect and showing your commitment to the marriage.
All right. So I clearly, agree with you, but also I want to lean a little bit to what Donna mentioned earlier. A price behind the bride makes it look like, like a transaction. You're buying something, and therefore, kind of makes it a little bit...
like a business transaction.
Like a business transaction.
But it is. Totally.
All right. So Hannah,
Okay. For me, I would just say, ask myself the question, would I like the bride price to be paid for me? So in that regard, I would say it depends.
Can I just add to your question? If Dangote was coming to marry you, You want a bride price?
So you
Bride
see,
price
well,
suddenly
you just
changed.
took the
Oh, the
word,
meaning suddenly
you
changed
just
now.
took words out of my mouth. So what I'm saying is that it depends. You know, I'm not even sure. Maybe by the end of the show, I would, after the conversation, I would have a position, an exact position on it. But then culturally, I think there are certain things that make us a people, you know, that we have value. So for me, from a traditional or cultural perspective, I think it's a good thing to have, because we as a people, those are the little things that make us special and we stand out. And when you look at our culture, we've lost so much. Everything has been westernized. So if we can maintain that, I think it would be a nice thing.
All right, thank you. Sadia?
Okay, so I'm not going to give the cultural arguments. I think we've heard that. I have a completely different view. I don't think the bride price adds values to a woman. It recognizes the value the woman brings to the marriage. Because when a man takes a woman, when you take a wife, you gain respect. So there are certain positions you cannot hold as a man because you're not married. So when you pay the bride price, it's you recognize the value the woman is adding to your life. But I think the problem is when we think we've been socialized as women to think, we have to go in search of a man, and man adds value to you. No, you add value to a woman. A man, when a marriage is good, a man loves a woman loves a man, and they have a good marriage. You can tell the difference in that man's life. That man, he prospers in every area of his life, professionally, personally, in different areas of his life. So I think a woman adds value to a man. So the bride price is recognizing the value the woman brings. So in addition to the fact that it's respect for the family, like Binta said, and all that, it's also recognizing the value the woman brings to the marriage and to this man's life.
So if that were the case, Sadia, why wouldn't the woman and the man just agree that, okay, so we want to be in this together? Why don't we just...
No, like Binta said, it's about respect. It's also about families. We know in Africa, you don't marry, it's not just between the two people, culturally. A marriage is between families. That's why the point about it being difficult for people
between families and...
No, that's our culture.
Yeah.
Marriage is between
Right.
families. It's not just between a man and a woman. So it's also recognized, because when you pay the bride price, so I believe in the bride price. On any day, I think a man should pay the bride price. And so that's why when they pay the bride price, you know, there are different envelopes for different members of the family, for the uncles, because you're recognizing the time and investment that has been put into this woman. People took time to raise their daughter. I mean, not to talk about education. I'm not talking about educated women now.
But Sadia, okay. Yeah. I mean, extending the bride price payment to uncles and other aunties.
Yes, these are all people who contributed to the upbringing.
But not necessarily.
No, but let me say that I think the problem we have with the bride price is when we put a tag on how much to pay. That's where the problem is. So if you
how much is okay, and how much is too much?
If you have 50 million loans, what's valuable to you, what you'll give as a bride price will be different from what somebody who's making 50,000 loans would pay. But you paying 10 million, if you have 50 million loans, you paying 50 million loans as bride price doesn't necessarily mean you value the woman more compared to that man who has 50,000 loans and probably pays 20,000 loans as bride price.
All right.
I'm thinking, you know?
Okay.
And just as Sadia is saying, for me, it's also about personal preference. As Sadia is saying, if you're going the cultural route, the traditional route, you're going to have to pay bride price because marriage is between families. Our culture and tradition is about family, it's about community. So you can also go the route and say, look, we're cutting out everyone in our marriage and just going to the registry and getting married and just eliminate the culture altogether. That's fine. That's a personal preference. And to Sadia saying the bride price being extended to family, it's also as well the culture you come from. As I've said, full as the bride price does go to your family. We also have something where we call tenge, which actually goes to the woman herself. Now that is something, the bride price for us, Fula Madingo, isn't even about money. You can bring 10 colas and 10,000 euros and the family will accept it because it's the respect. The tenge, on the other hand, that actually goes to the woman is something that is valuable. Normally it's cattle, it's gold. In this modern day and age, you can say it's stocks and shares because it's looked on as a safety net for the woman, something she can invest, she can reach into if she needs to. So it's a lot of different things, but to say you cannot extend to uncles, to cousins, you can't do that because it's a community that raised a child.
Okay.
Sorry, can I come in? Before I forget, please. I think also, to piggyback off on what Binta just said, when you involve families, it's also a way of protection. It's a protection for the woman. So you didn't just meet this woman on the street and get married and you think you can just treat her anyhow. That's why
But don't we have situations where people, meet families and all of that?
Of course,
and then they go
life
back
is
and
risk.
Yes, no, the thing is, no marriage is perfect, right?
Yeah,
and there are people who have abused this whole bride price thing. But I think if we go back to the original intent that's a way, when you involve the family, you understand that this woman comes from a family. She has a father, a mother, brothers, uncles, and everything.
So because of all so you're talking about the original intent. So now we're looking at what the other things that have
being
yes,
evolved.
but I think we need to go
over
back
time.
to the original intent because I think it's because most people don't understand the original intent. That's why they misuse or abuse this.
What's the original intent?
Yeah, it's a respect.
I think it's respect. Beyond culture, it's respect, and I believe it's also protection. Like you said, it's a safety net for the woman, but also it's about protecting the woman. You didn't just meet me on the street and pick me up and say, "Oh, let's get married." You recognize that I come
something about not, not in every case you have to give money as a bride price. Some cases you can give cola nuts.
Yes.
So how can a cola nut
on your means?
So how can cola nuts, for example, be a safety net?
No, that's what I'm saying. The bride price is different.
It's symbolic.
The bride price is different from what I'm saying, the safety net, the tenge. It's two different things.
Right, okay.
But it all is part of what the groom and his family are bringing. But as I was saying, I think because of modernization, because we ourselves have been, we're very into finances. And even we live in a culture that is deeply sexist. So regardless of even bride price, a lot of times women are looked on as commodities. Yeah. So as I was saying, people are misusing what bride price is to abuse women.
Recognize our value though?
Oh, I took it.
That's a whole other.
They use that.
I'd like to hear from Donald.
Now, firstly, I am in the midst of all of you who are suddenly thinking everything about the marriage should favor the woman. Because firstly, you add value. Come on. Firstly, you add value.
Of course.
By marrying you, the man also adds value. Now let's go to the Bible. Say he that findeth a wife
finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord.
From the Lord.
So come, when I find you, are you only adding value to me?
You found a good thing.
Okay, fine. You are a good thing. Who's going to do the finding? Now, I find you, and I then pay for you. Well, I give a bride price.
Give a token.
Gold
Or a
is gold,
token.
whether you found it or not. Gold is gold.
Then I give a token, and then you add value to me like gold.
Yeah.
Now, let us go to the other areas. You see, marriages always favor women anyways. So,
No.
Oh, come on, allow me.
No.
All right, okay, let's allow him. Let's allow him, okay?
Take, for example, the safety net. Why not get me a safety net when I get married? What if after keeping a wife for 20 years, she moves on?
But that's it. The safety net is actually not only for the wife, it is for the family. That's the point. Because
hold on.
they
It's given to the wife.
It's given to the wife for her family, her new family.
So what does the man get if I...
He gets that his wife is
No. I'm talking, the safety net comes in when there's a problem. So when this problem arises and my wife of 20 years moves on
What about
and
the
leaves
kids?
me...
Maybe you guys have kids.
What do I have as a safety net?
Then we're having a whole different conversation about what happens when divorce happens.
No, well, you see, for me, this entire bride price thing must have been thought about by a woman.
No.
Come on.
Can I come?
No.
I think so I don't believe in 50-50. Let me say that up front. I don't believe. I think you're coming from a 50-50 point of view. So what do I get? What do I get? Let's be real now. When man married woman, you see the kind of respect they get. Don't know me, they call you Mr. 7.
No, I'm Mr.
I'm
Mr. from the day I'm born. If you have that problem, I'm Mr. David Scholes from the day I was born. Come on.
There are certain positions you wouldn't get.
Like?
No, certain positions.
You're not considered a responsible man.
I take it personal now. I'm not married, sir. Am I not responsible? I've been paying my taxes. I'm not in jail.
So it's not about what do I get.
No.
It's not about what do I get.
But I think also that's a perception thing. I mean, for somebody to say because you're not married, that means you're not. It's equal to.
But that's the culture. That's the culture.
What culture is that?
You would not look at them.
I don't think it's just culture.
You have married people, married men and married women, who you cannot compare that.
We agree.
But let me tell you what
let
let me tell you what the idea
seem
is.
as if
It doesn't necessarily mean I believe in that, but that's the reality. The idea is there are certain things. Let's say if it comes to corruption, you get to think about, hey, me family name, me wife, me picking them. That's what will stop you from making certain bad decisions.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the reasoning why they think, oh, we can't give certain positions if you have nothing to lose. There's your family's name at stake. But that said, let's go back to the bride price.
Exactly. Let's go back to the bride price
because you wanted to take you made that point about what do you get when a woman. So even when she gets like what do you call it, the tenge, right? You know that when a woman, when you invest in a woman, you're actually investing in the family. So technically, you, the husband, get to benefit from whatever tenge she gets. And the children as well. A woman is not going to hoard that money and say, this is for myself.
Yeah.
If she invested in a business, it flows eventually into the family. So I think the whole problem is this one. I think we women don't understand what we bring to the table. We don't value ourselves enough. And we think, oh, it's not what a man pays for you, or you are valuable, you are inherently valuable. So when you get married, the bride price doesn't determine that. That's one. And then two, this whole idea of commodity, I think it's a problem in our society because even educated men think when you pay the bride price, you own a woman, you control her. And I think that's where the problem is. I don't think it's necessarily in the culture, it's the perception. So that's where it's about mindset. So it's about letting people, if we bring economics into culture, that's where the problem is. So don't think about bride price in terms of economics. Think about it in terms of the cultural, because it's cultural. You don't have it
cultural, then it's the man always dominating. That's the point.
No, it's not dominating. No, I don't.
In Sierra Leone, it's always that way. The culture is that the man is always.
Which is not a. Do
you know?
It doesn't
do you
mean
know a particular culture?
But it doesn't mean.
Cultural settings, where
But
women are the superiors.
That's also the beauty.
It's not about superior, inferior. I don't think so, because if you think of marriage as a partnership, it's about people.
Why not totally just abolish it so that we are on the same page when we get married?
That's the thing as well about our culture.
Because the point is, I am bringing something to the table. Look, I am, as the man, I am adding. The
Bible says a woman is a husband's crown. You know what that means?
Hold on.
All right. Okay. So
let Donald have his say. I would like to hear what he's saying.
There needs to be a head to put the crown on. The crown is not put on your belt. So you can be a crown for all I can. You don't have the head to put it on. It's not the value.
All right.
So hold on. Allow solo. Now, the point is, when I decide to get married, I have been to receptions and parties, and the family would be like, we tell you thank you for you people became and shame, you bring respect to the family. So am I not, without paying anything, bringing respect to your own family? Because look, if we go from the Bible, it says
have that perception. But
he that finds a wife findeth a good thing. Not so. To have a husband means you're a good thing. It is the husband who validates your goodness or not. Upon finding you.
No.
Oh yes, diamond is diamond, but if it's under the ground, it has no value, does it?
No.
Yes, it does.
It still has value, just that you haven't.
You can always go to corner and use it as a loan because it's under the stone. It's only diamond on the table that is used as collateral.
Coming to you that gave value to it.
Stop it.
This is Mamdi's lounge. I completely disagree with you.
We add value, and you're like, you add value.
All right, guys, this is Mamdi's lounge coming to you from the Bintumani Hotel in Freetown, and today we are talking about paying the bride price. Does it add a value to, or does it devalue a woman? And we've had very interesting submissions from our guests, Donald Davis Cole and Binta Akibobet. I also have Sadia Mara and Hannah Fuller in the lounge today to help talk about this all-important and very exciting, very interesting topic. So, Hannah, you've had the various submissions
several
from our guests,
views.
And Sadia,
and I'm beginning to think that maybe I'm midway, making up my mind as to whether I would like a bride price to be paid for me. There are several things that come in. I don't think, first of all, that it adds value to me. There is no way it adds value to me. I'm already valuable. And I think whoever I'm getting married to, I'm adding value to him. And we should complement each other.
Thank you. That's all. You're complimenting each other.
No one said the husband wasn't complimenting
but at the same time, I would like to say that maybe we need to find some middle road where we'll start on certain some of the traditional things.
Okay, I'll stop
and
you
we
there
need
for
to
a quick
maintain
while.
our traditions,
Yeah.
you know, and but at the same time, I think the negative perceptions that people have, especially men, that they own a woman because they've paid the bride price, we need to work on
Eradicate
that.
that, yeah.
All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mamdi's Lounge. It's coming to you.
See, I'm gentleman, not gentleman. I'm not married. Come on.
Coming to you from the Bean to Money Hotel. Like I mentioned earlier, in case you're just joining us, you're most welcome to this edition. Today we are discussing the bride price. Does it add value to, or does it devalue a woman?
Woman and plenty in a street for go choose that one day, go put money for them. A big respect. Go pay the bride price to the woman and the family as a sign of respect. Let me always then keep put school at it. Because possibility there for like born with them, left and so.
To me, that bad price, I don't say as a form of sale. Because me, NK said I don't meet up play. People put them, but then they judge NK said so maybe like sexual violence. What do you man they say? Well, attire. The man they go as far as the rougher. The rougher. In that case, so they sit down and back. The man they grab now crowd, they say, I married this woman. I pay money for her. So in that respect for satisfy at all cost. So you don't be a sell. Or pay money, say I want to marry this woman. You're wrong.
According to the knowledge women get on bride price, they do that such of collateral because yes, when you go married, yes, because you might go more go get free, you don't go take you don't go value. So you know what the purpose into one collateral we guarantee you will legitimize the actual one go. But I don't mean say because you don't go put money, that means somebody go buy. No.
Please say bride price to me, so far as me own knowledge, no value. Because why I say no value, now make Sierra Leone she find out say the man, he beat woman too much. He married to my left hand house, he go sleep to girlfriend. He reduce the woman value. For put money, for married woman per bride price. To me, so far as me concerned, no value.
Yes, of course. It add value to a woman because that does show sign of respect for you, the woman, and your family who say you come out. That be big respect. Where the bride price by rights, now the woman now forget the money because now in they go sit down at that house. Now in they go sit down at that house, so now he forget that money there because anything can happen. That man where he don't marry, we don't give that woman that money there. The parents say they're not for joke with that money. That woman now they volunteer for go sacrifice to that man. For better, for worse.
So my opinion, I would say they add value. Because when I go put school for you na post. Now they say now the real marriage.
Paying, when you pay for something, there has to be a commodity, there has to be a buyer, there has to be a seller. All right? No. In the natural sense of it.
Yeah.
If you say price, there has to be something you're paying for. Now, for example, if I want to buy this cup, Donald is selling this cup. There has to be this cup as a commodity. There has to be Donald as a seller. There has to be me, the buyer. So I think, again, the whole, where we got it wrong, or maybe where the traditionalists or the whole custom thing got it wrong, was this point of, referring to calling it the bride price. Because if you...
That was the reverse.
I think
women paying for the men.
No, it goes both ways.
Either way.
Yeah.
But in some cultures also you have women paying
in India
and all of those places. So, so I think again, because in some cultures, the man will say, when you go to marry a woman, the man will tell the woman's family that I am marrying this woman for this reason, for sex, for example. I think that also sort of devalues
excuse it,
the woman, because you are not marrying her because you think she's valuable. There's something
she's bringing something to
or
you.
she's bringing something to you.
You know?
You go there and say, what I want this woman for is for sex. So if the woman is sick, the woman is not up to it, or she's not feeling like having it, she has to, because that's why you marry her. You paid money for her. You've had instances where we have, like we will say, chamots between two man and man and woman, and the man will say, "Oh, I pay money for you." So you see, so these are all.
And
the
the man
issues.
actually feel justified in becoming violent in wife because he refused him sex. Because actually, I married you for let you provide sex for me. So anytime, any day where I want you, forgive me. I think that's some of the downsides of the whole bride price.
Yeah. If I could come in, I also believe as well, because culture for me is ever evolving. It's changing. So the downside of the bride price with a culture evolving is people have placed too much monetary value on it. That was not its original intent. For me, culture is a good thing. Not everything in our culture is good. It can also be modified. It's a personal preference. Like, for example, I got married in the registry, but I also had a cultural aspect to my wedding, wherein my husband and his family paid a bride price. If we look back in culture, if we look back in religion, the woman had always been looked as substandard, as a commodity. It's evolving, it's changing to the point where you're saying 50-50. For me, it's a human rights thing. It's that equality is we have equal opportunities to education, we have equal opportunities to employment. But when it comes to things like marriage, when it comes to things like family, for me as well, it's also a personal choice. It's a personal preference. There will be always wicked people. There will be people, even if you do get married in the registry, who will take what was said at the registry and turn it around and want to take it to your disadvantage. Even from a man's point of view, Donald, to your point, there will be women who get married in the registry, and when it comes to time to divorce, they want to maybe be petty and say and grab everything they have worked together with their husband. So it's difficult to blame men's bad behavior on the bride price. I think it's more of a culture thing. I think it's a mind shift. I think it's a personal thing. You have some men, they're just wicked. You have men back in the days who they used to dote on their wives, even when the polygamy was a thing. They would never get married to two wives because they loved their wife. They didn't know how to coin it, but for them, it was love. So it's difficult to have a conversation and say bride price and men taking advantage of it and not have the conversation of our culture, which is deeply patriarchy. It's a sexist culture. That's just what it is. It doesn't only apply to the bride price. It applies to every aspect of our lives.
Binta, would you, and Donald, everybody here, do you see, I mean, like you referring to what you said, that a lot of things are evolving in our society. Marriage is evolving.
Yes.
I mean, I see experiments going on. People don't know each other, they've never met, but they marry. They meet on a website and they communicate, but they don't see the picture, they don't know what the man or woman looks like, but then they marry. People go to Las Vegas and get married. They don't have all the pomp and everything that goes with it. Do you guys see a situation where all of this could change one day? We don't have to pay the dowry or the bride price?
I think so. It wouldn't happen maybe in my daughter's generation even.
Yes.
Because if you even now, I don't know if you've noticed, I've noticed that so many weddings I've gone to in the past 3-4 years have been at the registry. Before, a lot of people were only getting married in church or at home. Or the mosque. That was the only. But you even see a lot of people, even very traditional people, because I say it's so evolving. As you said, there are people. I have cousins who their parents are deeply cultural. They're full out there, and they're like, "I'm going to elope and I'm going to get married. You can have your party, but I'm not even going to be here." I do think it will change. I wish it doesn't. Because I like culture. I think our culture is beautiful. I think it's what makes us unique. Asadi and I agree on, for us, marriage is family, it's community, it's getting in touch with your ancestors. So if we're taking everything away, we might as well just, Donald, I see him. Let me hear you just go tap.
So we're trying to understand, we're not even suggesting to take everything away. I mean, as far as culture and traditions are concerned, we just want to answer, because again, like the Vox Pop that we did, you heard from one of the guys there saying when a man, so some people are linking this whole issue of domestic violence, to linking it with bride price, because some man go say, oh, I don't pay for you, so I own you. Anything I have to do. Some people beat their wives and say, because I don't pay for you, let me get you. So these are some of the things that we're trying to.
I feel people will start. Even now, you see people amending marriage traditions. Before, you would never even know your husband or have had sex with your partner before getting married. Now we have people even living together before they get married, or having kids before they get married. So if a family maybe has suffered through that, maybe they'll say, well, my next daughter, no one's going to pay any bride price here. I see marriages, I see marriage traditions, I see the ceremonies evolving. So it is very possible.
And added to that, you have a lot of Sierra Leoneans, for example, who are in the diaspora, who, they're kind of far removed, some of them, from what should happen, in terms of their culture. So I would not rule it out. Not that we would like it to disappear, but then I don't think we can.
I would like to pay bride price.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. It's the psychological thing. It's the macho thing in me.
Oh,
hold on.
So it's not a bad thing. He's being responsible.
All right, hold on,
I would like
okay.
to pay bride price, not because I think I'm buying the woman I'm going to get married to, but because basically it's tradition. I want your family to be happy. I mean, most of the time, men don't want to do half of the things that they have to do during the ceremony. Woman want this, all right, okay, baby, yeah. Because I want you happy, I want your mom and your, okay, just do it. Let's just get on with our life. So if that's an issue, if I'm rich enough, I'll pay billions if I have it. But then the point is, we spoke about something biblical just now. You say that a wife findeth a good thing. It's only silly men, irresponsible and foolish men that will beat their wife. Me not go take stone knock me must in screen boka. No, I value my cars. I'm not going to take phone smash me on stone smash me on phone. So how would I beat my wife? So even if you had bought it, it's foolishness to spoil it. So that's not even an excuse for this gender violence thing, and that is where the law comes in.
Good, I like that.
And
thank you. Speak to that.
We
need more men.
We level it out.
It's a separate conversation.
Because women are multi. Yeah. They come with a package. That's the point. You like a man, you like his dog. You people have to be. That's the only thing you can. You can't beat me up. For 1 minute, talking about me, I'm not you guys.
So
that's a start. I want to be very, very clear on that. I am going to pay if I'm required to.
Great.
Okay.
Well, if the lady has a lot of uncles, I'll pay. Call it
1,000.
Listen, you're paying because your culture and tradition demands that, not because.
And I'm paying because I want. If my wife wants me to pay by price, I'll pay because it will make her happy. I mean, what's the basis of getting married? It's happiness for both of us.
Right.
So, I mean, if she would say not pay nobody, give me the money, buy clothes, make you nobody, keep on buy clothes.
I doff my hat off.
I know, I was playing.
I know. You got me there. What else? Let's think about aid organizations. Why sometimes they ask people to pay even if it's a minimum amount? Because they say you value what you pay for. So when we talk, so let's not talk, so this is how I see bride price. You value what you pay for. That's why we pay. For me,
some people can also argue that you pay for it, it's yours, you can do whatever you want to do.
No, but that's what you're saying. You don't pay if you pay for it.
It's not an excuse.
Because this is another human being. That's the whole, that's the slave mentality. If you think I bought this so I can treat it anyhow, that's the whole slave mentality.
I was responding to the fact that you said I'm paying. What I'm saying is you said if you pay for something, yes, if you pay for something, you value what you pay for. But also you have, on the flip side, you can say I paid for it.
But then it's like if you're paying someone a salary, does that give you the right then to beat them up? No, you're not beating them up. You're paying them a salary.
For me, even if the culture evolves, when I have my children, you're going to pay the bride price. Any man who wants to marry my daughter would pay the bride price. I don't care how educated I am or how educated
But then, do you know why it's tough nowadays? We pay advanced bride prices, you know.
How?
Oh, okay.
Because I don't mix up the culture.
No, hold up. You have college-going kids who, like, you basically finance their lives with the full knowledge of their parents.
I can't speak to that.
Hold on, okay. Yeah. Now I'm speaking to it because it exists. So when we get to that bride price,
it's
like some sentence already.
So I think this is also the point.
So
this is also the part where
those of you who are parents already need to go back to that culture
where
a man does not bring a pin into your house if he's not married
I
because if I don't count oil and clothes and this, I agree.
Okay, I agree with you totally.
And
this one, you know why? I think people use poverty as an excuse.
Oh, sure.
It angers me each time. You know why? Because I grew up poor. I know what it means to be poor. But one thing that we also, papa self who been small, you need to go eat self to neighbor before I say now man they can't begin fund you. People use poverty as an excuse all the time. You collect money from men and you allow your kids to go start living like picking what they college. You don't begin making they keep man where they can. And sometimes it's even married men. You encourage them thinking, oh, you need for waiting. And so this is where everything goes wrong. And I remember people were joking about this whole hands off our girls. They say, oh now tell them tell the girls to hands off our boys and have hands off our pockets. And this is the reality of it. You live within your means. And I think oftentimes this whole poverty thing, it's not because I know there are people who go through really difficult times, but sometimes it's because we want to live beyond our means. When I was growing up, I didn't know what it was like to go to parties. I mean, I'm except now I know you, sir. So I learned how to live within my means. I don't know what it mean for go lend to person. I don't know what it mean for ask man for money. But for some people, it's so common. It's so easy. You get mad where they buy you with on, man where they buy the shoes because you want to live beyond your means. That's why, I mean, now it's nice to go natural. Go natural. If you can't, I mean, serious, go natural.
I remember talking
within
to a parent,
your means.
Somebody, I actually tried to gauge the opinions of people on this particular topic. And I remember somebody said to me, a father actually, he said to me, I will not demand for bride price for my daughter, but obviously I will not reject gifts for her.
Okay, but at what stage?
Is it at marriage?
So I asked him the question. I said, so would you, I mean, if your daughter comes and say, oh, Papa, I know I'm this is my man who don't agree to receive so we're married or go somewhere for go married. I mean, is that okay? He said, well, yeah, it's okay, but if I'm being gifts for I don't go reject that. So how do you understand?
Yeah, the point of marriage, it's okay.
It's okay, because
it's okay. But we're talking about times when this is nothing really serious. Like like she was saying, having the married men come home, fund the home.
Gifts and, take
so
care of
eventually, you already have put your daughters out there to be taken as commodities. So that's the flip side of it.
Yes.
So by the time they get to bride price, I would then adjust the 100,000 envelope. Now basic. We don't pay for you till you don't college.
That's a very good point.
All right, don't forget you're watching Mamdi's Lounge, coming to you from the Bintumani Hotel. Today we are talking about paying the bride price. We're asking a question: does it add value to, or does it devalue a woman? We have Binta Akibubet here as one of our guests, and she's been very giving us very interesting points of view on this particular topic. And so has Mr. Donald Davis Cole. He's been the Honorable Davis. Honorable Davis Cole.
Yeah, these guys in Parliament will beat me up one day.
And I have Hannah Fuller and Sadia Mara also today in the lounge. We continue with the program now. So talking about, I'm still coming back to this issue. Now we're talking about paying the bride price. In some situations, means you value the woman. It's a way of legitimizing the union and all of that. So, how about in other cultures where a man, when you are fed up with a woman, you take the woman back to the family, and ask them to return your money?
Wow.
I think that's disrespectful.
Yeah.
So we're talking. So that's the thing we're talking about.
It's outright disrespectful.
But how does
culture.
divorce work in our culture?
I don't know because our culture. I don't think our culture makes provision for
returning the bride.
Some cultures
no, we don't.
It doesn't.
It does.
It does.
No,
traditionally, you take the woman
No,
back to
I
her.
understand the point where you're like, we do return we with. I don't understand how it works. So because I've heard of some cultures even where the husband divorced his wife, he divorced the kids officially, like there's a whole ceremony thing where the kids are also divorced. Yes, I don't. Wow. There's a tribe that does that. So I don't understand. So I don't know. So is it returning of the bride price, or is it because there are some cultures actually when the husband returns the wife, he returns her with something as well. He returns her with cola. Say, I don't return on
yes. In some cultures, they ask you, give you money back. So in fact, I spoke to somebody. He says
it's tricky, it's risky. So it's going to say go put 100,000. So
it happens. I mean, it is. I mean, so I don't want to.
Yes, I understand it happens, but I'm just thinking about it now, like what it means. Because if you consider marriage a partnership, right? Then should it be like when I say partner, so I don't believe in 50-50 within the context of marriage. Let me clarify that. As a society in other places, yes, but within marriage, I think it's what works for both parties.
Yeah.
So it should be but in marriage, it should be a partnership, right? So you saying you're returning the woman, I think that's where the devaluing is. If you come to the point where you're like, this is not working, let's go our separate ways. Then I think that's where we have a lot of
as someone who also loves our culture and tradition, as we've said, it's family, it's community. So if we've been joined together by family and community, we cannot
go back to the family.
But not to ask for the money.
No, it's coining. It's just coining the phrase.
No, because this woman was with you for a period of time. She served you because, right?
But then, Sadia, if we go to even legally, if I'm married, let's say I'm married to Donald, and we've been married 15 years, and we have assets, and we're going to court to get divorced. We are going to share these assets based on how much maybe he put in.
Assets, not what he paid for you.
So it only tells that bride price is kind of an asset for the man. I'm not saying
it's some cost. If we go back to economics, it's some cost. Once you pay it, you never get it back. Okay?
No.
I mean,
you're using your own perception.
But then, Sadia,
so for example, even if you think about it from economics point of view, if you buy a phone and you go and you use it for a while, when you return, you don't get your money back.
I can come back and say this phone is giving me problems.
But then, Sadia, if you're looking at the bride price let's remove the economics from it.
Yes,
if you're looking at the bride price from a cultural angle, my bride price was given to my family as a token of this man's commitment. That commitment is no longer there. I personally believe that my family should then say, thank you very much, it didn't work out, here's whatever. I don't even think it would be the same value.
It will not.
I think in fact it's something where they will sit down and actually have a conversation, family, and like in all rights, the married in all rights. Hey, Donald, you cola. It wouldn't. I don't even think it would be the same value. It doesn't mean Donald puts in 100,000 loans, he'll be giving back 100,000 loans.
I agree with. No, I understand. Not I agree.
So the commitment should be that broken.
But let me say, when you go back to what's it called, tenge? So
no, they don't. We don't return tenge.
Okay,
tenge
fine.
is not returned.
That's what I'm saying.
No,
because
tenge is not returned. It's two different things.
Giving back to both of them, so you cannot.
No, the tenge is to the woman. It's between the woman. But the bride price is for the family.
Yes. So there was this. Somebody commented on Facebook when you posted the question. He said when he went to college, his mom used, I guess, was the equivalent of that, because that was her safety net when she got married. She used that to pay for his college fees, right?
No, you don't return tenge.
So that's that. The tenge is what I'm talking about. What was given to the bride?
That's the woman's own. It's not returned, but the bride price. I mean, the man should be given 10 cola.
So how's the bride price is different from the tenge?
Because that's for fuller culture, but for our culture, for example,
the holistic
in our
bride
culture,
price.
you pay one, it goes in the calabash, and then so that's the one thing. You don't have the one where you say this is for the wife and this is for the parents, and then when they give it to you, the wife, the bride to be whatever, you hand that to your parents, right? But like in our culture, let me say in my family, our parents give it back to you, so it's yours. I don't think divorce or anything should make me return that money. No way.
I don't think
Whatever
it's
it is.
returning the money.
No,
I think
you're not
there
getting the
should
full
be,
value or
there
part
should
value.
be,
By
when
the
the
time
marriage
that we're
breaks
together,
up,
that's my
for
share.
me, when the
That's
marriage
my
breaks
pension.
up, there
That is
should
where I
be.
would always be on
That's
different
my
pages.
pension. I'm
You
not
keep on
returning it.
mentioning
I
the
am
time they
not
spent
returning
together and the value the woman has added. As
Yes.
if during that same period, the
man
had added no value, which is wrong.
So that was before they got married. So
No,
what
no,
was
during
spent
the
before
period of their marriage.
No. I'm saying what was spent before they got married.
No.
Should not be returned.
Why? The bride price.
No.
The
It's
bride
part
price
of the marriage
is
ceremony.
Okay, this is my
is the
personal
last-
view. You don't have to agree with me.
No,
as
but
far
the
as I'm
point is,
concerned,
you
that's
keep
some
on
cost.
bringing
Once it's paid,
sexist
you
views
never.
into this thing,
I can't-
insisting
no, I
that
can't- no.
for the
I-
period she was with the man for the
No, it's not
that you
sexist.
get married.
No, wait.
The man married woman,
Can
the
I
woman
say
married the
this
man,
though?
no?
Can I say this though? It's not sexist view. It's my view, and I'm not trying to. No, I'm not trying to get a view that speaks for everyone. That's my personal view. I am not returning.
Now, not to stop and this my
I feel strongly about that.
Yes, and
like it's the
Sadia,
woman
Mamdi,
having issues.
Sadia believe that if they pay bride price for him, if there's
It's
a
not to be
separation,
returned.
it no go return.
Yeah.
It should not be returned.
I don't
But
believe it
Sadia-
should be returned,
Yeah.
but I don't believe like say the equivalent, but I do believe if the marriage is being broken up, that commitment, that sidon where you find will then sidon. They go for sidon
They go
back.
on sidon.
For on sidon.
Exactly.
So there has to
be a token
So there has to be
to go
a
through.
yeah,
But
that's
wait,
what I think
happens when
personally.
people go? Because usually the traditional marriage is one part, and then they do the white wedding or the registry wedding. So usually when divorce happens, it's not even the traditional one. Like now, with the way our cultures have evolved, right?
That's because
you go
it
to
has
the court,
evolved.
so it's not necessarily.
No, but
the two
even
families
Sadia,
having
even
Sadia.
that has
It's a matter
evolved.
of choice, so.
Most
Exactly,
times,
it's a matter
most
of
times,
choice.
Traditional
even
marriage
if
is
you're
recognized
going,
by law.
No,
So
I
you
know
can choose
they
to
are,
go
but
there
no,
and do it.
she's just saying what are the
No,
parts? Nobody need go to a family.
Family,
You just
yes.
Because
they
woman
appear.
was still
But it
advantage
depends.
and
So
they
we're
get
talking about
50%.
No.
Binta, we're
Because
talking
in
about
traditional
different.
courts, you do man also
We
you
are
get
talking
50%.
about
So you know
different,
they go the
no.
Canada
No,
courts.
but what if the woman doesn't
Listen.
want anything from the man?
They
What
because
Honestly,
Una know them, man.
the whole
Love
whole
God.
thing about bride price, divorce, and all of
It's
that.
tricky.
It is tricky.
It is.
And
It is tricky.
I think for us, where it suits us, we tend to go with it.
That's for all human beings.
Everybody.
I don't feel it's for man.
That's the
or
exact
woman.
point.
That's for universal. That's
the
all
point.
human
So
beings.
that's
When-
the thing. So you see, so that's
See,
the
that's what you
No,
keep
but
on
there's
doing.
no rule concerning
Because
that.
if you do,
So
if
what you
live
do
in
is
a
you
church
find
or
the places that
personal
you're
law,
comfortable.
No, Mamadi, what I think you should get, you should actually get, because we are looking at bride price now from a cultural aspect.
Yeah.
I think we should know what happens culturally when you divorce, because
No, so it depends.
Exactly, it varies.
from culture to culture. So like
So
I said to you, I
it's
mentioned
a
something
personal
about
preference.
particular
But what
group.
we are saying is that many times when the divorce part comes up, we never go traditionally. Most times we now go to
Yes.
the point
Exactly.
to resolve.
No,
love not again, love not
no,
again.
no.
not
It
sweet
depends.
again.
It depends if the marriage, it was the whole marriage thing happened in a setting that demands going to the court.
But even that, I
No,
disagree.
no.
I disagree.
Okay,
But let me
so
say
that's
this.
it.
Let me
That's
say
it.
this.
You cannot be married twice. You
All
know.
right,
No,
guys.
but Donna,
The
let me
moment when
say
you do that one
this.
house, you don't marry.
Mamadi,
That one
Donna,
at church
Donna,
and all, just
Donna,
process and
hold on,
I mean for
Donna.
peace and other stuff.
Hold on,
You cannot be married twice.
Mamadi
All right, let me
is the
quickly
referee.
remind my viewers that this is Mamdi's Lounge. It's coming to you from the Bintu Money Hotel. Today we are talking about the bride price. Does it add value to a woman? Paying the bride price, does it add value to a woman, or does it devalue a woman? So,
Mamadi, my hand was up first.
all right.
So I think Anna just said what I just said, right? And so we're on the same page. When we get married, when we married traditional married, we know they do like now in the city. It's not the only thing we do. It's a step towards something
In the
else,
city.
right? Right.
In the city.
So that's why when we get divorced, so if you do the traditional wedding
In the
and
city?
then yes, but
Can I object?
we don't even have a traditional person here. But
Can
then
I
again,
object?
on
Can I
the other
object?
hand,
My hand was
on
upset.
the
I'm
other hand,
objecting to
we
this
had
point. Just
remember
look
when we
later.
had when we had the episode on domestic violence. So in the traditional societies, men don't always return the woman.
Yeah.
They treat and so they pack and go to people then because they don't want to go down that way, right? So that's where we go back to the whole. People, man, and they would they go there and go wait.
Okay, okay.
If they treat the woman, can go now. The woman, the people and go say, let you did
In
it.
fact, the next one you man go say left him married.
to go through a process.
Yes, okay, not
People don't want the shot. They want.
I will
I
come
think-
back
Yes.
and say a word or two on what you just mentioned, Sadia. Let me hear
I
from
think
you.
And I
it's
don't think
showboating
traditionally-
and show off oftentimes that you need to get 3 times married and you are married. You only get married once.
True.
If you tie call and house, as far as I'm concerned, I don't mind.
Yeah.
Go register later, go church, now for the show of
No,
something.
yes, that's a personal.
No.
How you view it? So
No,
some,
no,
for
it's
some
not about
people, the
viewing
traditional
it.
marriage is viewed as engagement.
Oh, well, come on.
Some people.
Yeah, for some
Well,
people.
for me, what I know is there's an engagement, which is not a marriage ceremony. There's a marriage.
I agree with you
There
because,
are
like
some-
our culture, we don't have engagement.
Exactly. I've
For
gone to-
us,
Yeah.
if they don't tie the kola
They
and
don't
us, that even that gladi if una wants white wedding, that's on you guys. But as
Exactly.
far as they're concerned, you're
No,
married.
for me though, when we did the whole thing, that was engagement.
Okay, yeah,
It was not
that's a
considered
different.
marriage.
no,
when
no,
you-
call it
that's
traditional
where
marriage.
but
Let's
it's
not
still
call it
considered
tradition. No, well,
No,
can
the
it
one
be?
where they put that in a calabash.
That's an engagement.
Yes, then I still. Well, that's the
No,
bride
no.
price.
No,
Oh,
it's
no,
different.
we're not talking about when
There
the
is
bride
common
price is
pants,
paid.
full
We're
nip and
talking.
culture. Me,
Oh.
they tell what happened in me own case.
Yes,
Now,
and
bride
yes.
price they go inside.
Then
the
you call
wedding.
her engagement. I'm
Yes.
saying you can't call engagement and traditional marriage the same thing. Now two different
They're
things
two
there.
different things. They are.
That I call her with them fuller than they do. I
Yeah.
don't go fuller married. Then call
Yeah.
world. Call go engagement. So each night parties
Then
those
a
Chris
fuller
people now.
culture.
Nobody engaged now.
Yes, that's what we're saying. So,
So they won't go by ring.
yes.
Okay, guys.
So
All
when people
right.
are married now, register,
So,
then they married naturally.
No foolishness. You know they married.
No,
to ten.
bless you. Go bless the wedding, right? If you don't mind,
No
I register.
foolishness.
they
When you
go
marry
with
and
you.
register,
Yeah,
you're already
exactly.
Mr. Mrs. Why do you go back to the church to now
Just
say?
to bless it. I
now
guess
give
it's
them
a
a blessing.
blessing.
You know why you
That's
call pastor
foolishness.
and also can bless him.
You could do
You
that
could
as
also
So
well.
do
basically,
that.
what you could do
Yeah,
is go to the
alright.
church and they pray.
Okay.
Mamadi, if I could just raise,
quickly, yes.
raise one point where, Sadia, you were saying most times if we have several ceremonies, let's not even call it marriages, so we've had the traditional ceremony, we go to the registry, and then we'll go bless it in church. Most times when divorce happens, most people go, I think as well, it also has to do with the fastness. I think because most people will look at it and say, look, the courts, it's clean, the laws are clear cut, it's easy, there's not a lot of complication. Whereas with traditional separation, it's like, we go big force, the cola now return, there's a lot of things. But I do disagree that even when people go to court, just as I said, when a family and a community comes together for people to get married, even when they divorce or they're breaking up, even when they go to court, I do believe there is a conversation that happens amongst the family when you're getting a divorce. It has to happen. And in that conversation, if the man is quote unquote petty and says, Una, give me all my bride price, and if your family can afford it, just as you're saying, you're getting married, you want to make the wife happy, so you're doing all this for her. If I'm getting a divorce and you're being petty and I really don't want to deal with you, and really the bride price is what you're sticking on, most families go say, yeah, take her, then we just take gal picking. So a lot of times, marriages, the ceremonies, it's very complicated.
Sadia, have you considered,
I understand your point completely, but I still stand by what I said. Okay?
No, but and again, up country, we don't. A lot of people don't get married in registry.
Exactly.
So they have no choice but to get divorced
investment
culturally.
Absolutely.
It's not something you hope to
exactly.
get back.
And that's I think they go to the chief and
exactly.
Can I just this is not
traditional settings. Hold on 1 second.
As long as if you get married traditionally, when you're getting divorced, it's traditionally.
Yeah, so that's the point I was trying to make. You go. So some people in some cultures, they go to the chief back and tell the chief or whoever was there to wouldn't tie the married. Tell and say, okay, look, this my idea, so this woman and maybe say, I don't say again.
Yes.
So they give.
And even in that tradition, you do have women who are empowered enough and say, if my family want to return, or my family want to take me cola fine, but me not
where
return.
you're coming from. Okay, but let's think about this. When you go exploring for gold, right? There's a certain amount you put down. When investors put their money down, you put down as investment. That's what exploration, that goes into exploration. So whether you find gold or not, that's some cost. You never, there's no chance of recovering that. If you strike gold, then good for you. That's how I consider bride price.
But that's how you consider it.
That's why I'm saying it's my personal view. So I don't.
But some cultures don't.
Let me tell you.
I'm not speaking from cultural points. I'm not speaking from any.
Okay, let me tell you what that cost is.
And I think even with these things, even cultural views, it's people who came together and evolve over time. But I think bride price is an investment. The woman hasn't done anything for you. You've seen her, you like her, blah blah. I want to take her as a wife. Bam. You go, you pay this money. That's investment. whether the marriage works or not.
Whether not good or bad investment.
You don't profit now. Not like business now. So if you know what's
Donna, why are you thinking of this bride price?
Quickly before you come in. I remember when I was doing
don't bother.
Something costs.
Yes.
Look,
I remember somebody said to me, you don't want to go there.
Do you think before you pay the bride price, there are no other costs attributed to the move?
There are, because of the
ceremony. But the subject
so
of discussion
why
is
is
the
it
bride price.
particularly that the bride price now should be the sunken cost, and all of those other costs, why would you put them in the balance sheet? Are they not already sunken? Transportation, feeding, cola, power, yes, all of those are money spent.
Those are things that it's mutual. We enjoy. The bride price is the one thing that goes to the woman
it is mutual. It's from me to you. When it's not working out, you give it back to me.
I'm not giving it to you because in the first place I added value to you.
You don't come to this added value. This added value.
The time that we were together, you be the bluff where you be the worker and sleep because you married me.
You see problem? You know the bluff, you the worker, you catch it.
From the time we were together, you be the worker and sleep. You be the bluff because you married me. So if you don't work now,
that's how you get to our office to change their names. And they'll not call me being Sajalo again and Mrs. Akibo.
I actually took a while to change my name because I couldn't be bothered with the paperwork.
In fact, I like something. So when I was doing my research on this particular topic, I remember somebody I spoke to said, so if you marry my daughter, for example, so some people they go marry the pikin, young, everything they intact. You understand?
Okay.
So if you demand, say for let I will tell you. So maybe pikin come back, you take her.
Yes.
When Bobby been there up, you know
I also had that.
So yeah. All right. So ladies and
let me ask a question.
Would you return you Pola, you Donald?
If it's the lady who wants out of the marriage,
she packs and goes back to her family.
Okay.
What happens?
So, do I not get to collect my bride price?
For what?
Why?
Oh, hold on.
So either way,
all of you don't talk, but the man go it on. Turn around. You been against you, Donald. Call the people and I'm me at how.
Okay.
So another has some bride price that you do that Sunday.
No. Like if that's the case, let me tell me now once again. Yes, then I'll give you money because I said
no.
That's the point that I'm okay. You're not entitled to it.
On that note, I would agree.
Yeah.
That's whenever it's the other way around, you
then
give it to me.
You want it, I'll give it to you. But you say you don't want.
Quickly,
you have my
guys.
vote on this now.
So quickly, I mean, this whole argument, this whole discussion,
bringing all that discussion in.
It just shows we say this issue is very topical, right? So, but finally, before we go, do you guys think we need to revisit or do some adjustments to this whole issue of bride price paying? I mean, do we need to do or tradition and cultures? Do we need?
I think
it's not the
do some
culture. I think it's the mindset that needs to change.
Yes.
And when I think it's not even about education per se.
No.
I think it's exposure. We have a lot of educated men who hold certain viewpoints. So it's not
the reason I say this. The
reason I say this. So I think men would be general for so let's say men and women, right? So the reason I say that is because we don't want people to just think, I illiterate and they behave so, because we've seen educated people as well. And sometimes we expect more from educated people because we're thinking, you don't learn, you're more exposed. But education does not necessarily mean exposure as we've come to learn. We get man there with the learn book, then they beat their way. You understand? So it takes a whole shift in the way we think, a mindset change that a woman is not a piece of item. She's not a commodity you pick up that you can use and then dump.
So maybe we need
to
change
then it's not
price.
Just for the men. It's not just for the men now. It goes for the women as well. Yeah. So when we go to that, that's how you make yourself. Are you sell yourself? That's what kids go buy you. So if you, even as mama, then now they watch this program. If you picking small, you don't begin encourage people, man or boyfriend, you don't begin and they furnish you now, host, and they feed you now. Respect not for the end. Waiting can change no more.
All right. So I'll quickly go around the table again. I'll start with you, Donald. Do you think? So back to the question. Yeah. So do you think paying a bride price? Do you think it's add value? Does it add value or devalues a woman? Quickly.
For me, it's not about value, it's about happiness. I would insist if my wife to be wants a bride price, as long as she does not tell me how much.
Of course.
I'll pay. I'm going to spend money, let the woman be happy.
All right, so in other words, you pay, and because you value the woman, you want to make
yes.
So it's all encompassing.
And may I quickly say, it's about loving your wife. Yeah. All of this is just enough talk. About loving your wife, treating her properly, making her happy, and living the rest of your life happily. What's this thing about buying women? You cannot buy anybody. It's slavery. But even if you put $1 billion on something, for me, if a man decides to get married, I go back to the Bible, say, find. Not say, ma walking football, ma then can do ma. So you go find wealth. So me, will go find wealth. My responsibility is to make you happy. Okay. So if paying the bride price makes you happy, I pay. If you want, give me back, give me. If it makes you happy, I take them back. Blah, blah, blah. As long as we're happy in our homes. And it is about teaching our children that it's about valuing our wives. I have never had my mom and my dad fight, but I know say them go refer to me, Papa again, but never in front of us. My dad has never beat my mom. So when me ask me, I remember, my Papa goes, change for me for that big fully, so I don't do it. So it's about valuing your wife. I mean, forget all this.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Hannah, quickly.
For me, I will just say that I want to keep the bride price, but I would like to change the name from price, like you said, to prize, because I believe I'm of value, and I'm adding value, and whatever, I'm a prize, a prize, not a price. And that for me is where the commodity aspect comes in. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Hannah.
And to your point, I feel also is when we're saying it in English or Creole, bride price. Maybe in our local languages, that's not even how it's called. It's like, the cola for the woman. So,
but there's a definition. Don't forget, even with English, there's a definition.
Yes, but that's what I'm
price.
saying. For me, and looking at it from the cultural part, I don't feel it devalues a woman. I feel it's about commitment. I feel it's about respect, not only for the woman, but for her family as well. As Donald has said, it makes her happy. It makes her feel special. It's like you giving a woman an engagement ring, getting down on the knee and all of that. So for me, the bride price, and to Sadia's point, we need to go and really know what is the bride price, because if we have conversations with the older generation, you will understand that the bride price had nothing to actually do with money. People have placed on different things onto it, but it had nothing to do with money. It was just about the commitment.
That was the original
It was
thinking.
about the respect. That was the original thinking of bride price.
So because of
for me, bride price, my daughter, you're getting married to my daughter, you will pay a bride price. I'm sorry.
Thank you, girl. We're on this
together.
All right, Sadia.
All right, so I'm so happy right now. I'm so happy right now. So I have to say this. I like the whole idea of the price. I think meanings get lost in translation. So when you try to, because English, that's the equivalent they could come up with. So I don't think that was the original intent. And so the message was lost. But to every woman out there, single, especially the single women, just know that not a bride price they can add value for you. As a woman, you are worth it. So whether you're single, whether you're married, I want you to know that you're worth it. That's actually my life message. You're worth it. So it doesn't matter how much they pay for you or how much they didn't pay, you're still worth it, because you are inherently valued by God.
Before you close, Mamdi, I want you to make a disclaimer that not all unmarried men are responsible. I am.
No. I'm
just kidding.
Yeah.
It's looked on that way.
All right. Thank you very much. It's been Mamdi's Lounge, and the conversation has been very, very interesting. You heard from our guests and, of course, members in the lounge. Very great submissions on this particular topic that was up for discussion today. Quickly before we go, let me, I think I agree with Hannah. I mean, I think the whole issue is about the name. Probably we need to change. So like Vinta said, so I think so the initial people that will come up with this idea, not to then thinking be different from waiting.
We don't
turn out for being
waiting, you don't turn out for being out. I'm sure waiting they mean, without being their advocate, I think so waiting them they think about certain a price, because we are valuable in ourselves. So that's why we want to pay money for your according to society. So that they add to your value. You're already valuable as you are. So not feel to say because they go pay bride price for you, then they can add value to you.
No.
You are valuable, you are complete, you are total.
Yes. The total woman.
Every
All right.
woman
So
is.
until next time, I want to say a very big thank you to my guests and members in the lounge for their wonderful contributions to this particular edition of the program. It's been exciting. It's been wonderful and very interesting. So thank you guys for coming to the program.
Thank you for having us.
All right. So until next time when we come your way, it's been Mamdi's Lounge, and I have been your host, Mamadi Gube Kamara, signing out.
You're watching AYV Television.